I did send out the notifications already. I'm pretty sure they're all there where they're supposed to be. Yep, I got my notification. So that means we are good to go. And I did post it on the Discord. I think I posted it on Twitter. I tagged Zilix because Zilix is my boy. So he should be there. And I don't remember where else. I think that's it. That's the only places I do it. Okay, so hello people. We are back. Sorry we missed you guys last week. I missed you guys last week. But we had to do a restructuring of the league because a couple of people dropped out because the season was too long. I think that was the reason they were giving, which is valid because we did have like 13 weeks or something like that. However, my only concern and my only question is how come this became a problem in week 3 and not in like week 6 or 7 or even 8? You know, we're like halfway through the season, we're like, oh, this shit's too long. No, people weren't even getting their battles done in week 3. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. This may be the way my mindset works. But I'm here again with my boy Zilix. I don't know why I'm pointing to the wall as if you're right there. But my boy Zilix is here. Sorry, Zilix, I know you're not here.
I'm somewhere off in that direction.
Somewhere in that direction. Yeah. If you cross the ocean that way, you'll probably get to Zilix. I guess that's the best way to put it. So today, the stream is actually going to be a little bit different from the last ones because the fact that I think we dropped 5 or 6 people. I'm trying to remember. I think it was 5 or 6 people that we dropped. I can actually look in the thing. So we had 1, 2, 3. Actually, no, it was only 3 because one of them came back. Actually, 2 of them came back after we dropped everybody. I think that's what it was. That's where I got the 5. Oh wait, no. It was 4. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. There was 4 that left, but it was actually 6 initially. But then 2 of them came back, so then it brought us back to like 10 players. I think is what it is, something like that. So the stream today is actually gonna involve us going over the team changes that happened. For the people, because we were basically given the ability to like redraft your whole team. This happened last weekend, and so essentially this weekend's matches are actually with new teams for 5 people because only 5 people made changes, and then the rest of them didn't. And then what are the schedules for the coming? I think it's like 3 weeks that we're doing. We're gonna talk a little bit about that, and if we can get to it, we'll talk about matches that we're potentially interested in, and we'll go from there. So, by the way, if you guys see it, I made a change to the chat. I think I'm pointing the right place. I think where it's now transparent, so that it looks okay, looks good. I'm hoping it looks good on your end because I thought I had it good in testing and then I had issues right before we started streaming, so I don't know, but I'm hoping it's good for you all. So let me know in the chat, in the comments, and we will transition over to the draft sheet and we'll go from there. So let me change the scene here. Okay, you can barely read the chat there. Maybe if I move it, maybe. Eventually, no, it's gonna look weird no matter where I put it. Here for now, and if we can move it. Actually, what if maybe? No, that's not what I want to. Where's the zoom out function? Maybe that way works. Potentially. I think that looks good there. Wait, did I lose? Did I lose Zilix? Is that what happened? What's going on? Zilix, can you hear me?
I'm still here.
Oh,
Hello.
okay, perfect. I don't know what was I thought I lost you. So I think the chat looks better now.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think we are good. Question mark. So.
It might be lagging or a little bit delayed.
But you can hear me fine. Right?
I hear you. Yeah.
Okay, so then we're fine.
I don't know if my audio is coming in late or not.
Okay, so I'm hearing him fine. Please let me know if you guys are hearing him fine, and then. Okay. Okay, so I'm being told that the chat is a little delayed, but I think that's just the nature of YouTube streaming and shit like that. So I think what we can do is and then Zilix and I can talk through that happen and go from there. So Zen made a redraft. I did a redraft. Anarchy did a redraft. Sonic did a redraft, and Mudkip did a redraft. Now there is a meme. You can start see here. There's a meme team. Technically speaking, that was just like a joke, just to do a filler spot, so that we wouldn't have bye weeks anymore. So this is literally a team that was made by everybody just throwing Mons at Mudkip because he's the one that wanted to make it. So this team isn't actually our actual team. It's just random Mons thrown together. So we don't actually need to talk about that one because they don't actually affect the rankings. Well, they can. They can give you positive, but they can't hurt you, essentially. So, okay.
Those bonus points more than anything else.
Basically, that's literally all it's for. So if we look at it that way, then Doruk, Jack, Khan, and Yoler are the only ones that did any changes. So they stayed out of the redraft that we did over the weekend. So my first, I guess, question that made changes, I want to ask you, who do you glow up in terms of their team? And then give us the reasonings why.
Yeah, so Mudkip fan has shifted the strategy more geared towards now Sandcore there with Excadrill, T-Tar, Hunstone. I think be better than the tools he was working with before. And I think, like Excadrill is a very good mid-game mon, which pairs nicely with Roaring Moon, which can clean up most late games. Excadrill also being a fairy killer is a really strong to pair with Roaring Moon. There is a little teeny bit of like a fighting weakness, but I think it's well covered when you look at things like Driftblim, Grafii, Primarina, and Palde and Tauros for Intimidate for the physical attackers. So I think, despite there being three of like the main core members of the team being fighting weak, I think there's enough of a defensive backbone to take care of it. I do think Rillaboom with Excadrill is a little bit weird, since it discourages Earthquake spam that Excadrill might otherwise be able to do. But aside from that, I think the team is better with the changes.
So in your opinion, Mudkip has the biggest improvements to his team out of everybody who did a redraft?
Yeah, I mean, I would say from a position of where it was to where it is now, I think it's definitely in a much better spot. Not necessarily that it's suddenly the best team, but just as far as improvements go, I
Right.
think the improvements were pretty good there.
Okay, so
I do also like. Sorry, go ahead.
no, no. I was gonna ask you about your next uh, talking point for.
Yeah, so looking at Zen's team in particular, dropping no longer has Tinglu Superior and Gouging Fire, but instead has some sticky webs with like Keldeo, Latias, Masquerada. I do like that combination. I think offensively, that's a very strong core. I don't think Zen would really need to worry about defense too much because, alone Ninetales having access to Aurora Veil
Right.
can solve a lot of defensive problems that could exist with this team as it's taken a more offensive stance. And I do think like Masquerada is just such a versatile mon, and I think it worked really nicely
Oh yeah.
with like Latios and Keldeo, which both have a tendency to potentially run like calm mine sets, which if you set up webs or you get behind an Aurora Veil, you set up like entry hazards with Masquerada or Doug Trio, and then you just start setting up behind screens. I think this team will be working very well. And I do also like Serena on the team. Serena, I think, is a great Terramon. Uh, I mean, obviously, you may be wanting to terrestrialize things like the Latias or the Keldeo, but defensively, Terra Serena can be really interesting because it can check a lot of uh, things off guard,
And that's she. If I
like
remember
fire
correctly, she
types and stuff.
has Queenly Majesty, right? The one that prevents priority
Yeah,
attacks.
correct. Yeah, it'll block priority attacks.
I like it. I like it. I guess next.
Looking at your team, we have Archaludon now, which I really like Archaludon. I believe it's getting banned in Smogon,
I think it was banned
or
already.
maybe it already get banned. Yeah, but it's a really good mon. You have a rain setter, which I think is also really good, setting up rain for Ogerpon, weakening the fire weakness that Registeel would have. And I also like um I like Screamtail still because it's just such a good mon in draft.
I'm
I
gonna.
also
But before you continue, Zilix, I think you're gonna enjoy the latest. Because I actually was able to get my. Well, we'll talk about the schedules later, but one of my battles for this week, I got it done. I think you're gonna like something I did there with Screamtail when you watch the replay.
oh okay. I'll have to see it.
But continue.
But yeah, I was just gonna say I do like that there's a little bit more offense on the team now. I think that's something you were lacking a little bit with the previous draft. So pivoting to still having great defensive options, but also having some balanced offense and potential sweepers with Galarian Articuno and Archaludon is a super like bulky mon that can do a ton of damage.
Okay, so it says the connection is back, peoples. I believe we're good. So, um, okay. So I'm gonna. So where we were at before the call dropped, Dylan's asked me about my team. So the initial thing I was gonna say was, I think this is the first time in the history of my draft career where I actually picked up Landorus Therian. I have always used it in regular Smogon competitive because I've always liked using it. Like Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7, Gen 8. Even now in Gen 9. I use it every once in a while. I just really like Lando. But I've never used it in draft because it's always been a little iffy. At least my point of view. Because I've always been more of like a very bulky defensive player. And while Lando is good at defense in regular OU, where you kind of know what to expect from the metagame, in draft, everything is on the table. So I've never really felt comfortable using Landorus. However, I don't remember who my Intimidate that I was going to draft was before I picked up Landorus. I know that I rotated between a couple, and I even went back to what I had initially drafted before the redraft, which was, or not redrafted, but traded for before the redraft happened, which was Paldean Toro's Aquaform, which Zilix and I talked about, I think in the stream before all this happened, and I was literally gonna go for that, but then then in my mind I was like, if I'm only picking up Paldean Toros as a fighting resistance, and Intimidate, why not get a better Intimidate user that also resists fighting but is immune to ground? And that's where I came up with Lando. Because I actually don't have as much of a ground weakness as I used to, because now I have I have Lando, I have Pelipper, Galarian, Articuno, Weezing can have Levitate, and so I don't have as much as I used to before, but my main walls are Registeel and Screamtail, and I also have Archaludon now, which is weak to ground, and Hisu and Typhlosion is still weak to ground, so it's always nice to have some reassurance for it. The more resistances, the better, and it's not like all my flying immunities have the same weaknesses. On the contrary, I don't think they share a single one, besides Pelipper and Galarian Articuno with their weakness to electric. But even then, that's also covered by Landorus and also dealt with by Archaludon. And so it's not as big of a problem as one might initially expect. So in terms of my draft here, so I essentially wanted to go for a really bad pseudo rain team, which is why I have Pelipper and Archaludon. I was already going to pick up Orcapon Wellspring again because it was one of my most elite mons before the redraft. And it also helps with, Registeel's fire weakness. And it's a good deterrent to fire type moves. And it helps me against the other weather setters because, I had, Mudkip who picked up sand. Doruk's Sun is still a thing. And Zen still has his snow team, if you want to call it that. So it's more of a way to not only help me with, removing some of the fire weaknesses, but it's also going to help me compete against these opposing weathers that are going to be on my ass all the time. So literally, I think the only mons that changed, or the only new mons on here that you're going to see are the Pelipper, Archaludon, Lando, the Weezing, and the Girder. Now, the funny thing is, I initially didn't know what I was going to do for my last pick. I knew I wanted some other hazard control because Galarian Weezing being the only thing that can remove hazards is always a bad thing, because that means that I only have one. Because that was my problem before. I only had one way of hazard removal with treads. But the person who was initially said that they were going to pick up Girder ended up not picking it up. And from me watching the other battles, I know that Girder gets defogged now, which I don't know why the fuck. Okay, I don't know. Zilix, can you explain to me
That is
why the
very strange.
Conkeldurr line still has defog, yet some of these other mods lost it? Like what?
Well, clearly, as you can see, that big steel beam that he holds, it lets him clear away the fog
But
by just swinging it around.
okay, but
And
the fucking mods that are literally made of clouds can't do that.
you see, the weather. They're like the weather trio. It gets it gets weird sometimes. It's unpredictable. You can't always count on the weather. So, but you can always count on a construction worker like Gerd. He shows up.
Ready for work.
He's there to build buildings and get rid of hazards. That's his job.
He's
He's got to make the workplace safe for the other workers.
he's got that blue collar tie, just
Yeah, he's minimizing hazard pay from the big
company.
corp, the construction company. So he's got to, you know, I have no idea why this one gets defog.
Seriously. So, but I thought that was funny. So I was like, you know what? If they're not gonna pick it up, I might as well do it because again, now that gives me two forms of hazard control, um, which is always good to have.
Well, it's also a defogger that's resistant to stealth rock, which
Yes,
there aren't too many of those.
that is very true. Um,
Like there's a good number of spinners that are resistant, but usually defog.
yeah, most of
There's
the time
either a
they're
weakness or it's just neutral.
yeah. So, so that's one of the reasons why I picked it up. Plus, it gives me the fighting type that I didn't have before, because I didn't pick up, the Tauros again, but now I have Girder, which is gonna help me out in the long run. I still have the Galarian Articuno for like Zilix says. He's a good setup mon. Um, the Weezing is just an extra fairy type for me to have against the dragon types. Because Screamtail shouldn't be the only one handling those stuff. Um, gives me another.
It also can be a grounded poison when you want it to be.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
think toxic spikes are ever going to be a problem.
And then not only that, but it also helps me against status if I decide to go for Misty Terrain. Um, like the fact that Weezing has a lot of variety to its game plan is really something I really like. The fact that there's different ways that you can bring it. I know the person who had it before mainly used it just like a ground immunity, but even in some of my testings, I was using it as a status resistor because I was preventing status from the mons that are because most of my mons are grounded anyways. So the fact that I'm able to avoid status is always good because they took away a heal bell from everything. Nobody can have fucking heal bell anymore. And aromatherapy is just gone. Okay? So anyway, to avoid status is always gonna be a good thing. I still think that's a dumb change. I don't know why. Who the fuck at Game Freak was like, aromatherapy is gone from the game, and the only heal billers are the Blisty line and Time Echo. That's dumb. That's dumb. Game Freak.
Yeah, I played some Nat decks draft in Gen 9, and honestly, I like it a lot better than regular just pure Gen 9. Just the move pools are better. But yeah, obviously with those restrictions, it's honestly not too horrible ever since they added the not the teal mask, but the other one, the indigo disc, because it did add a couple moves back,
Right.
and obviously adding all the starters, which was cool.
So yeah, so that's mainly my thing was like I wanted weather that would be able to compete against other weathers. I've always liked rain, Gen 5 that was my
Yeah, I think rain is probably still like one of the top weather options in draft. I know like sun and snow both have had a glow up in Gen 9 with photosynthesis and the ice defense boost,
Yeah.
and no longer taking the residual from hail.
Oh yeah, that's a good. That was that was actually the best change.
Yeah, because like it before, hail teams just incentivized having like a bunch of ice types that only really benefited with um blizzard accuracy
Yeah.
because
Or
there was no type boost
ice
or
body
anything.
or whatever the fuck, whatever I call 'em.
Yeah, and now like they've slowly been adding stuff to make it better, like Slush Rush and Aurora Veil and the ice type defense boost.
I think that they do
And
deserve one
it's
nerf, Zilix.
almost a competent weather effect now.
They deserve one nerf, Zilix. Okay. I want frostbite instead of freeze. Give me frostbite. That was one of the best things about Arceus. The fact that freeze isn't in the fucking
Yeah,
game.
I agree. I think Frostbite's better overall.
It's literally a special type
What else
version
did
of
it
burn.
do? It reduced special.
Yeah, it reduces special.
Honestly, I don't even know if that would be a nerf. I feel like that would maybe be a buff because then they might add more moves that would give Frostbite
Right.
instead of the freeze condition.
But
They'd
but
be
freeze
less
is
afraid of
stupid.
it.
So I don't like it.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb. Especially because like everything that freezes is basically RNG.
Yeah.
Where at least with Sleep, um, like in Spore's condition at least, it's guaranteed. Where
Yeah.
Hypnosis, I mean, you're kind of gambling, but
But yeah, so that's pretty much it for my team. I personally feel more confident with it. The fact that I don't have to over prep for so much crap, and people aren't like, oh well, oh god, my back. I hate this. I hate this. Today is just not my day. It's literally not my day. Why does this keep happening? I don't know. I don't understand. I don't even know if Zilix can hear me. I hope he can.
I can now.
There you are. I really don't know what's happening. I blame the rain. That's what I blame. I blame the rain. That's who's doing all this to me. Okay, I think we're back. Maybe. Question mark. Okay, I think we're back officially. Where were we? Zilix, do you remember where we were before it dropped again? Causing me nothing but turmoil and sadness. Oops. Okay, here. Let's try this again. Okay. Is it better? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, it does sound a bit better.
Okay. Where were we? Because I don't remember.
I was asking, was the were the other teams Anarchy and Sonic that we haven't gone over yet?
Yeah,
That had
Anarchy,
changes?
Sonic, and Mudkip fan. But you already talked about Mudkip, so it's literally Anarchy and Sonic, and that's it. Everybody else kept their teams the same.
Let's see. So Anarchy, his team before was the. Did he have the regular Ursaluna before, or was that Sonic?
Anarchy before had the Baxcalibur Rabombi team. So it was Bax,
Oh,
Rabombi,
right,
Cloth,
right. Okay.
Gator, Chinchino, Incineroar, Appleton, Gliscor, Lantern, Bastiodon, and Smeargle. That was his whole team.
Yeah. So his new team is basically just entirely restructured.
Yes. I don't think he kept a single mon. No. He literally has a completely new team. Not a single repeat.
For the Terapagos, what's the Terra ruling on that? Is it not able to
It's not
like
able to
Stellar?
Stera. Nope. It's stuck with whatever it. I don't know. Can Terapagos even change his Terra type? I don't remember. I think it can, right?
I honestly I don't know. There was like a brief like blurb in the game when you catch Terapagos that explained something about it, and I read it once and forgot it. So I don't remember.
Let me log into Showdown to see how the fuck. Because if it's only able to Stellar, then it can't Terra at all, basically. I know for a fact it can't Stellar. So if I go here. Terapagos. Nope, you can't change Terra. So it's basically not allowed to Terra at all. I'm so sorry for everything, Zilix. I don't know why today is a mess. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I was looking, and I think shell form, right? Is that how it works?
If it can't Terra, I think it stays as like the little like, baby, right?
That's
Or
what I
does
don't
it
remember.
use its other form?
I don't know if it turns into the big shield one or if it stays a baby. Nobody's used it yet, so I don't know. Wait, let me look at. If this Pokemon is a Tropicals, to transform it into its
Oh yeah,
terrestrial form on
it
entry.
turns into the shell.
Okay. So it's literally just defensive. Oh, it has 105 special attack. It's not that bad.
It is decent stats, but being pure normal, won't get stab on any of the moves. But it's kind of similar to Mew, where it just learns like a ton of moves. It has a ton of coverage.
Right. So I guess we'll just have to see how he handles it. He does have it is also a spinner, but like he doesn't really have too much of a weakness to hazards? Question mark. I mean he has a spin blocker with Dusclops.
Tentacruel is also another spinner.
Yeah. Does Anaconda get rocks or no? Because
I believe it does.
that's okay. So then he has every every form of hazard here because he has. If Sandaconda doesn't get rocks, he gets rocks there. Cacturn has spikes. Araquanid has webs, and Tentacruel has toxic spikes.
Yeah, I also think webs might be a little bit of a weird choice with this team because you have a trick room option with the Cresselia,
And Dusclops too,
and
right?
I think Dusclops can also set up trick room.
It used to before. I don't know if it does anymore. They might have fucking moved it from it.
And then
Oh no, I still have it.
Ursaluna, obviously, like you're not really gonna outspeed anything. Yeah. But I don't think Ursaluna is really outspeeding anything, even if webs are up. So you do have Blaziken, which can, yeah, like I guess Blaziken can take advantage of them. But there's not a whole lot of offense on this team, so
Besides the Blood Moon.
it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah, and Blood Moon's good, but in draft, when you know you're going up against it, you can bring like a Protect Mon, and then you can protect on the Blood Moon turns and not neutralize it, but you can definitely like hinder it.
Right.
Um, Especially if he's relying on Trick Room, then
You're
you're
wasting a Trick Room
wasting
too.
Trick Room turns if you go for moves like Protect. Yeah.
Oh, and the
So I
other
think
thing,
like it is a really good mon,
right.
obviously.
But I do want to make a note that he only has like lower tier Terramons because Blood Moon's actually we fixed the cutoff that we were having issues with before, so tier 17s can't Terra anymore, which means you don't even have Terra options on your Blood Moon or Terrapagos who can't Terra at all. So you're stuck with the Arcanine defensive crest, I guess. You can go like Ghost or Poison. I don't know. And
Terra
Blaziken.
Crest is pretty good. Tearing into Fairy can be really nice. You get Stab Moonblast and can be a Dragon Immune.
Right. So like that's the one thing is that he's very Terra limited because the mons that you would want to Terra can't Terra at all.
Yeah.
And Blaziken is, I don't personally think Blaziken's a good Terra mon. It's not like he has. It's too. Unless you're like really into just fire powering it up, you know. But Blaziken still has the issue that it's always had,
Yeah.
where it's reliant on a boosting item, and most of its offensive tools either have recoil or um, does it get CC? I don't remember if Blaziken gets CC. If it doesn't, then it's still stuck with high jump kick, which is not the most reliable. Oh no, it gets close combat now. Never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the team is definitely lacking some firepower, and as you mentioned, the limited options for terrestrializing can hold it back. Now that being said, I do think uh you know, I mean Blood Moon is still a crazy threat,
Right.
and even with the ability to prepare for it, it's hard to switch into. So with the right set, some weeks, Calm Mind, Moonlight, E Power, Blood Moon, it's going to be dealing with a lot of teams. And whatever it doesn't knock out, Blaziken can clean up. It is a pretty decent late game sweeper, so he has that going for him, but that might be his only trick, so to speak,
Right.
aside from maybe like Calm Mind, Cresselia, and a lot of those can be predictable. Blood Moon can certainly be shut down with if you know that you're going to be facing it, using things like Encore to lock it into Blood Moon. preventing it from attacking, basically giving it the truant ability.
Right.
So yeah, I think the team might be a little too one-dimensional now. Where at least before with his draft, he had like the Feraligatr, Rabombi, backs, different kinds of setup,
Yeah.
instead of just like purely having pretty much just like Calm Mind spam. But I do like Terapagos's moveset, so I think that will be interesting to see how that's used, since it can really bring like any form of coverage.
Right. It basically has every option under the sun. I think I was looking at that. All right. And then last but not certainly not least, we have Sonic, whose old team was the three starters, Ursaluna, like regular Ursaluna, um, Frostmoth, the Quillfish, Regieleki, Sinistra, Electrode, and Chimecho.
So this new team, Bundle Gouging Fire, is really nasty. That is going to be an incredible core to shut down a lot of teams. The downside there is both Mons are rock weak, but fortunately for Sonic, he has Cyclozar and Gliscor to deal with hazards, which Gliscor is a
Gliscor doesn't
fantastic
get defog.
Terramon. Oh, well, never mind. Just
Let
Cyclozar
me
then.
check. Let me confirm. Yep,
Gotta love things
it
being
doesn't get
removed.
defog anymore.
I think Toad School does have Rapid Spin. So I guess there's that. And then
Yes, Toadstool gets rapid spin.
I guess Whimsicott probably got whatever it had removed. If it even ever had defog. I don't remember if it did.
It doesn't have defog anymore. I'm pretty sure it did before though.
But at least Rapid Spin on Cyclozar is quite good because it does have Regenerator,
And it's
which is
super
a
fast.
good trait to have on hazard removal. Because you can take the hazards, Rapid Spin them, and then get that
Recovery and
health
spin.
back by switching out with yeah. So I do like that at least. And Gliscor in this generation has been a really good Terramon, being able to get rid of its ice weakness in turn for more offensive power or more defensive power.
Terra Water,
Um,
Gliscor.
so I think, yeah, I think this team will be very powerful, but I don't know if it's well supported in terms of it may just be relying a little bit too heavily on Gouging Fire Bundle. Because I mean, Gliscor is a great mon. Shaman, I think, has seen better days in draft, especially because it's lost like aromatherapy. But still having like a wide variety of coverage and being able to clear hazards on itself by switching out is still good utility to have. I do like Whimsicott because it can prevent opposing setup and it can allow for the wall breakers to do their work.
Right.
I believe Whimsicott still has Tailwind, or did it lose
No,
that?
it still has it. It was. I know because I saw some VGC coverage and it's apparently still doing its Tailwind shenanigans.
Yeah, and Tailwind Trick Room, they're not the best in singles because you do obviously waste some of those burns having to maneuver around. But a Gouging Fire in Tailwind is pretty horrifying
Scary.
if that ever happens. And Whimsicott also getting access to things like Stun Spore or Encore to deal with setup, I think will be great boons and good support for the Gouging Fire bundle. And then, you have Jolteon, which is also lightning fast, so trying to speed creep things on this team
It's gonna be a
will be really
nightmare.
difficult. because there's just speed all over the place. So you may outspeed like 3 things, but then 2 other things outspeed you still. So that also gives him a lot of ability to potentially put EVs in some of the fast mons more into like AD, because if you know that they might try to speed creep like Shaman or something, then something that he has that's below 100 can just invest more into HP, knowing that it's probably going to get outsped anyways.
Right.
So I do like that aspect of this team, and I mean, Gouging Fire bundle, as I said before, 2 really dominating offensive Pokemon. So it definitely is not lacking in the wall breaking and sweeping department. That is for sure.
Alrighty. That was, I think that's pretty much everybody. We're not gonna talk about the meme team because I think I mentioned it at the beginning of the stream. It's literally just a throwaway. We basically have some free points if we do decide to face them. I'm gonna bring up how the schedule is going from now on. We're only adding 4 more weeks, so it's right now we're in week 6. Next week is week 7, week 8, week 9, so on and so forth. So basically, most people are facing 2 opponents a week because we're trying to finish off the season as fast as possible. So, for example, this week, Khan is facing myself and Zen. Zen is facing Mudkip Fan as well. I'm facing Yoder as well. Jack is facing Doruk and Anarchy. Doruk's facing Sonic. Sonic is the only one that only has 1 battle this week. He basically got away with murder because he only has 1 battle. And I think Anarchy is the other one? Question mark. Yes, I think those are the only 2 people that this week are having 1 battle. Next week, Sonic again is only facing Yoder. And then Zen in week 8. And then last week is basically most people only have 1 battle left because they're basically trying to clean up the schedule because of everybody that ended up dropping. So I think that's it for now. I know that Zen made a typo here. He has me facing him in the last week, but doesn't have me facing him. Or he has himself facing me in the last week, but he doesn't have me facing him. So, Zen. I'll talk to him later about that. Actually, I could just probably add it later. But that's basically the schedule for now. Because of how everything is out of whack, I don't know if Zilix wants to give an idea of what he is looking for this weekend. If there's any matchups he's interested in or he wants to talk about. I know that I still am catching up with things, so I probably don't have a match to talk about for now. But next week we will talk about.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten the opportunity to take a look at some of the new matchups. So yeah, it'll probably be better to take a look at some of the replays afterwards.
Okay, so that's what we're gonna do next week.
With the technical difficulties that have gone on tonight.
Yeah, they haven't really helped us too much. So I think that's gonna be it for now. Let me switch back the scenes to my other one. Hello, we did hit. So I think we're gonna leave it off there for now. I will try to record the battle that I already done tomorrow, because like I said, we're not gonna talk about it now. But I'm gonna try to get that battle recorded tomorrow, upload it tomorrow, and I'm gonna find out when the fuck I can face Yoder this weekend. Because I don't know what his schedule's like, okay, and I don't think I know he talked once before in the chat. I don't remember when it was, but if I can't reach him in the chat, then I know I have my ways of contacting the guy, so I will do that. But I don't know. Any final thoughts, Zilix? Anything you want to bring up before we end off the stream?
Not a whole lot. Just it's cool to see some of the team changes, and it'll be interesting to see in the future how they shape up.
I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. But that's going to be it for today, people. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys had a wonderful day, night, evening. I do again apologize for all the issues we've had with the internet. I'm going to blame the rain today. Okay, the rain did not help at all. But we're going to leave it off there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll look forward to you for other future videos, streams, and everything in between. See you guys next time.
See ya.